here to be finishing up Balance of Justice, to see episode 4. I'm trying to wonder if this is the last episode. I don't think I've seen a 5, so maybe this is the last one. So, yeah, this will be a nice finishing this up. See how they're very long. Hopefully I skipped all the previews, or advertisements, but I guarantee you I probably did. Did my best. You guys won't see him, but I will. So that, let's figure out if what happened to that. Stanley got murdered, and hopefully there is correct to our innocent. So, that's what.
Therefore, it couldn't have absorbed the blood. So, where did all that blood go? It should have coated the entire area around the victim's head. But forensic testing revealed that the amount present was not enough to have come from the head wound.
Like when they were talking before, it was just found in a different area.
Can only mean one thing. The body was moved from somewhere else and placed at the scene of the blackmail.
What?
Well, you kinda knew.
The body really was moved from somewhere else.
But who would move
it? If
it?
it's a place where Royal Order bled a lot, then...
Yeah, that's
gotta be it, right?
I guess they use that blue stuff to make it
I have no proof
help
of where
reveal
the
what blood
actual
is.
killing took place. However, there is certainly evidence to suggest how the body could have been moved.
What would that be?
Remember the scooter conundrum?
Yeah, the scooter thing.
These two witnesses have proven that Scootaloo did leave with it. Yet it and the wagon made their way back to the site. Why would that be? The answer is simple. They were using it to move something heavy. That something was the body.
No!
Prosecutor,
But the real question is why?
Bear with me. I just want to see if I've got this right. After killing the victim, the defendants placed the body in the scooter's wagon and then drove it back to the blackmail site?
That is correct, Your Honor.
That's ridiculous! Why would they bring the body to the gorge?
Yeah, that's
There is
confusing
but
as
one
heck.
reason why. To frame Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon for the crime.
What? But they had no reason to do that. The defendants would gain nothing by framing them for murder. Objection!
Well, they didn't have to pay
Nothing, you say?
for that,
How naive.
for the dresses and whatnot.
What?
This world is not as innocent as you seem to believe, my
Actually, it
one-eyed
is.
friend. Being blackmailed is more than enough motivation for a pony to frame
Right,
another
well, ponies are like
murderer.
super friendly, and
Did you forget your previous
whenever they're
accusation
mean, they're
of
not
these
that
bullies,
mean.
Golden
They're
Pixie?
usually just pony cannons.
That was a stupid argument to make. Now things are even worse. Come on, think of something else to say. Well, if the wagon really carried that body, wouldn't we have found bloodstains in the bed?
You forget that Turning Page is involved in this as well.
Oh yeah, he can scan
Being a
his
unicorn,
hooves.
he could have collected all the blood with his magic and disposed of it in the woods, never to be found.
Is he that strong
This is
with
bad.
magic?
I know they couldn't
I
have
thought
done
at certain
it.
ages you can
Just
only
gotten rid of
use
any
so
way to
much.
prove that.
But then we never
Well,
knew how
defense.
magic works.
Don't give up on my account.
It kind of does whatever.
Please continue to run face first into the wall you find before you.
Like with G5 or Earth ponies don't know what the heck they're doing
I-
with that magic.
Objection! Fine. I'll do just that. I'll show you exactly why Scootaloo and Turning Page could not have carried the body with the wagon.
Twilight!
You guys one left?
Then do so.
Twilight, what are you doing?
Well,
I
it
have
is
to
her
thank you,
trial,
Anna, for
technically.
giving me the time I needed to come up with a way to refute
Like I
Luna's
said, this should have been
theory.
her the whole time.
I did what
Well, it's nice having humans there, but
While
still.
you were dealing with Diamond and Silver, I managed to figure out exactly what Luna's been aiming at all this time. Will you let
Eh?
me take the lead here?
Aiming at what?
Alright, Twilight. Go for it.
Thank you, Athena.
Aiming at being
Well,
princess number one?
Don't keep us waiting, Miss Sparkle.
Very well. Your Honor, this is why it would be impossible for the body to have been moved by the scooter.
The scooter itself? I'm not
Oh yeah,
sure
because
I
it's broken,
follow.
it's hard to
Allow me to
maneuver
point
it.
you in the right direction, then. Look at the front wheels. Notice how they're crooked?
Oh, they are.
This scooter cannot be driven anywhere in this
I
state.
still think he used it to
Something
beat
that's
off
already been
the,
proven.
uh,
So you see, even if the
wolf
wagon
thing,
could be
Timberwolf.
used to carry the body,
the
it
3D
wouldn't
wolf.
matter in the slightest if the scooter couldn't.
It still looks cool.
Objection!
The wheels could easily have been broken after they carried the body.
Objection!
My nation used to have Timberwolves, but that was a long time
Look at
ago.
the scooter again.
They were all wiped out.
Only the front wheels are broken, and the left handle has been snapped off. What scenario do you suppose would have resulted in this kind of damage?
Wait, you mean...
These two areas of damage point to a single conclusion. After Scootaloo left the scene that night, he crashed into something.
Probably a Timberwolf.
The force of that crash damaged the front wheels and likely threw Scootaloo off.
And why didn't Scootaloo say anything about this?
Objection! Even if that were true, she might have crashed after she left the real scene of the murder. This would have allowed Turning Page to levitate the body, scooter, and wagon with his magic.
Is he that
That's where
strong?
my second piece of evidence comes into play. Take that!
Is that the broken handle?
It is, Your Honor.
This is shock.
I can prove
First
beyond
time she's
all doubt
actually
that the scooter
emoting
and
other
wagon
than anger.
could not have played a part in moving the body.
Where was it? Explain, defense.
Right here, at the crossroads. This proves that the crash occurred near the entrance to the forest. Given that it's about 30 minutes between there and the crime scene, it would be impossible
I
for
hope we get the
Scootaloo
whole
and Turning
info
Page
about
to carry
this.
the scooter and wagon back to the scene before Diamond Tiara and Silverspoon discovered them.
Bitch.
Somebody else must have been involved.
But who?
Miss Sparkle. You've done well to live up to the duty bestowed upon you by my sister. Your defense just
Yeah, they
now
are
was
kind of like a
superb.
mother-daughter type of relationship.
However, I'm afraid it's not enough.
It's rather unbecoming of you to be so stubborn, don't you think?
Yeah, she's
Don't be
usually
attitude,
moping.
Miss Sparkle, and let me explain. If it's true that neither Scootaloo nor Turning Page were responsible for Royal Order's death, then logically, they should have seen the victim and the killer go to the scene that night, right? We know that the defendants took the only
I
path
feel like you guys are
available to
missing
get to
a lot
and
more
from the
info.
blackmail negotiation site. There's no way they could have missed the victim and killer heading towards the scene. Do recall that we've found nothing to suggest that the victim had the ability to teleport there. He'd never paid the place a visit. So, Scootaloo, Turning Page, tell me, did you see any pony heading towards the scene that night?
The only pony I saw was Miss Sakura.
Which would mean you were the shadow she witnessed after leaving her hut.
Yeah.
And what about you, Miss Scootaloo?
I don't think I did.
She's lying.
So, what do you plan to do at this
Well, hold
juncture,
something back.
Miss Sparkle?
We know some pony had to have moved the scooter and wagon from the crossroads after Scootaloo crashed. I think we need to
Unless
hear more
Scootaloo
detailed
bonked her head
account
and
of what
forgot.
occurred there. Maybe it'll give us a clue for the solution to this other conundrum.
What do you think, Prosecutor Luna?
I think that's a wise course of action to take.
Very well then. Prepare the defendant to testify.
Alright.
Please state your name for the
See
record.
if she has more
I'm
info.
Scootaloo, founder of the Rainbow Dash Club.
Well, la-dee da.
Luna didn't ask for your occupation. Wait, does that even count as an occupation?
The defense claims that you crashed your scooter while making your getaway. Is this true?
Yeah.
Into
Please
what?
tell us.
Hey!
Sorry.
What the hell? Look at my car. Who's gonna pay for...
Sorry, dude.
God damn it! Get off the goddamn streets with those things!
What happened?
Yeah, sure.
She must have gotten spooked by something. I guarantee she probably hit a Timberwolf.
Please be okay. Please be okay. Please be okay. Oh, thank God. Okay, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. Oh my God!
Probably had a pure panic attack. I mean, anybody would be terrified. Seeing something that horrifying at night.
After getting my scooter back, Turning Page told me to leave the scene with it. I did exactly as he asked. I was scootering as fast as I could to get out of the forest. Suddenly, I heard timber wolves howling from a distance.
Cock-a-doodle-doo!
What an idiot.
That's what a rooster says, not a wolf!
And I got scared. I wasn't paying enough attention to the road, and I crashed into something on the path. I was okay, but I wanted to get out of the forest, so I just ran towards the entrance.
You didn't see what you banged into? I mean, I know it was nighttime, but still.
My word!
Unless she accidentally hit her dad.
I'm terrified that night.
Yeah.
Or his dad.
Without Turning's illumination spell, I had a harder time seeing where I was going.
You're certainly a lucky filly for
Technically,
escaping
with
alive.
humans, at night,
She is a very strong
our eyes
creature.
get better
I
within
should know.
10 to 12 minutes.
All right, defense.
That's why pirates
Please
have
bring
one
your
patch on their
cross-examination.
eyes so they can see better when they go under their ship.
Athena?
I ran that on Facebook.
A cross-examination isn't what we need right now. There's so much discord in Scootaloo's heart. There's only one way to help her.
Discord, get out of her.
It's time for Equestria to see
That
what
sounded
Earth
wrong.
has to offer.
Well, Miss Sykes, are you ready to begin your cross-examination?
Maybe she is, maybe she isn't.
No, Your Honor, we are not.
Oh!
Wait, we're not?
Please do not tell me you have simply given up after coming this far.
Far from it. In fact, instead of cross-examination, I'd like to propose something else.
Something else?
Your Honor, I propose we conduct a short therapy session with Scootaloo.
A therapy session in the middle of a trial? Is this some kind of joke?
I mean,
No
that
joke,
would
Prosecutor
help.
Luna. What Scootaloo went through has clearly rattled her emotions and muddled her testimony. To clear things up, I'll need some time to help her come to terms with her feelings.
Prosecutor Luna, as unorthodox as it may sound, these therapy sessions have helped us in many trials.
I've been in
Psychological
therapy
treatment
plenty of
has
times.
unearthed
and I
more
ne-
accurate
they never help.
testimonies.
Pinwheels! Pinwheels in my head! Voices! Angry fish!
How's he doing? Not good. He still thinks this is practice of some sort.
And uncovered new information that would have gone unnoticed. So, I say we should allow it.
Unfortunately, Your Honor, the prosecution opposes this suggestion.
What? I beg your pardon?
I mean, technically, Luna is the counselor, so...
Golden Pixie, you are but a child yourself. I cannot, in good conscience,
How
allow you
is
to
she?
perform
Is she
therapy
in her
on a filly.
20s?
You
I know
do not have
Luna's
the
in her
necessary
thousands.
experience to delve into the emotions of some ponies so vulnerable.
You're wrong! I've studied analytical psychology and I've done this before.
I will not allow it. You think I'm ready to trust you with a filly's psychological trauma after I've witnessed your impulsive behavior with Sakura?
Prosecutor Luna, are you sure? I believe this could be very beneficial to all of us.
I am quite certain, Your Honor. As some pony who deals with
Your
psychological
stubbornness
traumas
is
on a
gonna
nightly
prevent
basis,
truth.
I take matters such as this very seriously.
Prosecutor Luna, please. It really will help, I promise.
If you refuse to let this point go and begin your cross-examination, then this court will have no choice but to suspend it entirely. Your
Do
tenacity,
you have the
while
right?
laudable,
I mean, I
is
know you're a princess,
inappropriate
but
here.
you're
Now,
just despair.
begin your cross-examination.
Athena?
No. No! The mood matrix is our only way forward. This is so pathetic. The one thing I'm actually good at, I can't even convince Luna to go along with. All because of my stupid mistake. What would
Yeah,
he
but
say
Phoenix
to
made the same
someone like
mistake
this?
too. You probably wouldn't get that.
Giving up already.
Flashbacks.
I mean...
What a shame. You seemed rather confident at one
Who?
point. Don't tell
I've
me
never
you're
played the
considering
game,
throwing
so I have
in
no
the
idea
towel.
what this is.
I can't convince the prosecutor to let me use the mood matrix, though.
And? Do you think your mother had an easy time with it either? Her research and the Robots with a Heart program received their fair share of pushback too.
Yeah, I know that. Every time she came back from a presentation, I could hear the sadness in her heart. The rejection. It was almost too much sometimes. For the both of us.
Yet she didn't give up. She proved
Yeah,
that her
that's the
program
premise
could be
of
both
what you're
considered
trying to
and
say.
respected.
Don't give up.
Simon, please.
Boy, what's that look for? You listen here. You have inherited an incredible gift and an affinity for psychology from your mother, and you will use them. I will not have you embarrass yourself or her. Do you hear me?
Not sure what to say in this.
Yes, but the prosecutor.
Forget about her. You promised those two children, didn't you? That you would prove their innocence?
Is this the soul in her body?
Yeah,
or what's going on? I have no idea what the heck's going on.
I don't know if I can keep that promise.
Athena, if you were to take to heart anything I tell you, make it this. A person who does not stand by their word is not worth the time of day. You are indeed inexperienced, naive, foolish at times.
Isn't
But
everybody?
you're not a liar, and I will not have you become one. Now, enough wallowing in misery. Convince that mare with the unremitting mane that using your talent for psychology is the best course of action. Show her that not allowing that child to receive counseling from you is a grave mistake.
Thank you, Simon.
How much time has being passed?
Are we forgetting that you have yet to claw your way out of this grave? You can thank me later, with a bowl of noodles, of course.
Deal. I know just the place.
So is she
I think
communicating
you'll find that my
with him
tastes are far too
in the other
refined for the
world?
rubbish you and your merry band are
or
used to
something?
eating, Sykes don't know.
If we prevail in this race, nothing will get through the Senate without Utah's support.
I'll do it. I'll convince Luna to let us use the Moon Matrix. It's time to show her the true
mean I've given
power of
her
an
this much
adventurous
time to
inventor.
think.
Now then, Gold.
Prosecutor Luna, I stand by my demand to conduct a therapy session with Scootaloo.
As I stand by my refusal to allow a child to meddle with the emotions of a
Shit.
film.
I know I'm still young, and I know I'm not a great lawyer either. But even if you can't hear it like I can, I know you can feel it. The witness right now is suffering, and it's our duty to help her in any way we can.
Does Scootaloo gonna
So,
say in this?
despite my lack of experience with the law, that's one thing I do know. That we shouldn't just ignore the inner turmoil of others if we can ease their pain. Because a lawyer's greatest
Everybody has
strength
inner turmoil.
isn't their mind, but their heart.
I had it my whole life.
What do you say, Prosecutor Luna?
Golden Pixie,
Yes?
Call her
I must
Athena.
admit that you continue to
Or
impress
Sykes.
me with your ability to improve. Every minute of this trial sees you grow as an attorney. You would do well to be proud of that.
Well, I mean...
You will conduct this therapy session under the watchful gazes of both
So you
myself
should be
and your honor.
happy she's doing
And you will
therapy.
do
Is that
so with
technically your
utmost
thing,
care.
Luna?
Do we understand each other, Miss
That's
Sykes?
technically her job besides the moon.
Yes! Thank you!
Get
I
the pony
suggest
strings
you
and
do
counsel
not
them.
squander this opportunity. Now, you may begin whenever you are ready.
Gotcha. Ready, Twilight?
Right behind you, Athena.
All right, Widget. Let's do this!
Oh, now he has purpose. Huh.
Whoa. So this is the Mood Matrix? How does it work?
The Moon Matrix takes someone's testimony and scans their emotions as they give it. It even
Alright.
creates images of their testimony which we can view. These moon markers here reflect fluctuations in Scootaloo's emotions. When she feels happy
I thought you were
or is
going to go
enjoying
in
the
a
memory,
room
a
with
happy
Scootaloo to
marker
talk
will
to her,
light
not
up. When she feels angry or frustrated, the angry marker will react. When she feels sadness or frightened by a memory, the sad marker will blink. And when she feels surprised or confused, the surprised marker will let us know. We'll also need to keep an eye on the fluctuation of each emotion. Observing how powerful each one is can tell us a lot.
So what this basically does
Only
is
these
track
things could
Scootaloo's
actually work in the
emotions
real
as
world.
She's giving her testimony?
Yep, that's the Moon Matrix in a nutshell. Now let's see what's going on in Scootaloo's heart. See that? In the Moon Matrix, this is what noise or discord looks like. It's what happens when her testimony and her feelings are inconsistent with each other.
Okay.
So that means if we can find what is causing those inconsistencies...
The noise level will go down, making Scootaloo's testimony clearer for us. And, most importantly, for herself.
This is incredible! I could only imagine how much this could help our world.
All right, Scootaloo.
Yeah,
Time
why
to show
don't
us
you
how
make
you
like a
really
billion of
feel.
those? Let's see.
After getting my scooter back, Turning Page told me to leave the scene with it.
Okay,
I did it exactly as he asked.
Get scared.
I was scootering as fast as I could to get out of the forest. Suddenly, I heard timber wolves howling from a distance, and I got scared. I wasn't paying enough attention to the road, and I crashed into something on the path. I was okay, but I wanted to get out of the forest, so I just ran towards the entrance.
I guess she's lying about that.
Got it! Scootaloo, you mentioned that you ran towards the entrance, correct?
Yeah, I was really scared, especially after I heard those timber wolves.
But was there also a moment when you got angry?
Angry?
You clearly were scared after the crash, but then you suddenly got angry when you ran away. Can you explain
Oh,
why?
her scooter broke. Yeah.
Oh, I remember. After I recovered from the crash, I went to get back on my scooter, but it was broken.
Right. The impact dented the front wheels, and you tore off the left handle as you were sent flying.
Yeah, I couldn't ride it anymore. After all the trouble I went to get my scooter back, it got broken anyway.
Oh, now she's having a tantrum.
I'm so sorry, Scootaloo. I know how much that
Well,
scooter meant to you.
Scooters do break easily.
Thank you, Athena.
Well, Scootaloo, do you feel better after letting that out?
Yeah, a little bit.
Alright.
Whoa, look at that! Her noise level is down.
Precisely! This is the result of pinpointing that inconsistency. We're not done yet, though. There's still a good amount of Discord left.
This actually reminds me of
so
the
we gotta find out where the rest of the
Husband Hotel
inconsistencies
song
are.
music about
For
the-
now, I'll
or song
update
about
Scootaloo's testimony.
The TV guy. I like listening to Husband Hotel songs. They're
I
really
went
fun.
to check on my scooter after I crashed, and I saw that it was broken.
Got it! Seeing your scooter like that must have been hard.
Yeah, I was completely peeved.
And upset, too,
Swear
because of how
words.
much it means to you.
Yeah.
But you were also very surprised. So much so that it was apparently your most prevalent emotion at the time. Any idea why that could be?
Surprised? I don't exactly remember why.
Probably because you hit someone?
I knew that the scooter might have broken, so I don't think... Ah!
What? What is it?
Because she hit
The
someone.
scooter! It was stuck on something!
Oh, on
Do
the
you
guy's
remember what it
head.
was?
Ooh.
It was stuck in the head of something lying on the ground.
Yeah.
I could only barely
She
make it out in the
accident.
moonlight.
Okay. She's
But it
not really the
it
killer.
was-
It was just an accident.
A pony's head. They were moving. I wasn't sure who it was at the time, but now that I've seen his picture, I know.
Yep,
It was-
she accidentally killed his Baja.
Oh, his dad. Oh, his father. Yes, I have a Dutch accent. Isn't that weird?
Father, I mean.
Turning Page's dad.
What?
Yeah, it's not technically a murder, it's just an accident.
It seems that this therapy session has proven to be quite useful after all. We now have proof that the one who killed Royal Order was Scootaloo.
On accident.
That can't be!
But Scootaloo said it her self-defense. She crashed into him while he was lying on the ground. That crash resulted in the handle breaking off, and what remained of that handle must have impaled him in the head.
But why was he out in the woods in the first place?
That suddenly went from bad to worse. But I can't back down now. Nevertheless, Prosecutor Luna, I still think it's too early for us to come to any sort of conclusion. There's still some noise left in the witness's heart. Once I get the last of it, we should be able to hear Scootaloo's true testimony.
Very
Might as
well.
well.
Proceed.
When I turned around to look at my scooter, I saw that one of the handles was impaled in a pony's head.
Got it! Seeing that handle lodged into a pony's
Oh,
head
did
must
the
have been
percentage
nerve-wracking.
go down?
Huh.
It was. I was afraid that I'd killed some pony.
Yet, for some reason, you were feeling glad about the situation. Could you tell us why?
Glad? Well, I think I heard the pony breathing.
Oh, he was still alive. Okay.
Breathing?
I wasn't sure until just now, but talking about it, remembering everything that happened, I'm certain of it. I heard the pony breathing. But I didn't realize it at the time. I heard more timber wolves nearby and I ran away. I left him to die. I left a royal order to die.
But his body was still there, so the wolves didn't eat him. She probably moved him.
The truth.
That's probably not all the truth. Then who moved the body?
So it's really true then. Miss Scootaloo really was the one who killed Royal Order. Albeit accidentally.
Yeah.
Regrettably so, Your Honor. Following his death, the victim's body, along with the scooter and wagon, must have then been transported to the scene of the blackmail. Since we know Turning Page couldn't have made it to the crossroads in time to do that himself, there's only one other explanation. Royal Order, in his final moments for whatever reason, must have teleported himself to the site.
For whatever reason? Didn't you criticize me when I couldn't explain someone's actions earlier?
Touché,
Yeah.
Miss Sykes. But what other explanation could there be? By the time Scootaloo crashed into the victim, Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon would no doubt almost be done with their search and on their way up the stairs to discover the body. The only way the body and everything else could get to the scene that quickly is via teleportation. Our report stating that he'd never visited the castle before must have been inaccurate. There's always a chance he went there on his own time.
So the victim, after being stabbed, used his last moments to teleport to the castle?
Why? Just look for his kid or what?
It seems so, Your Honor. Though I confess the prosecution cannot provide a reason for his actions.
I see. What are your thoughts, Miss Sykes?
Something just occurred to me. There's a contradiction in Luna's theory and Scootaloo's testimony. But what could this mean?
There's no time to think now, Athena. You've got to say it.
She has to think.
You mean, you know too?
Yes. And I think I might know what it could mean. I'll need time to think it through, though. Just like before. You think you can buy me some time?
Yeah, I can.
What do you
Let's
think?
do this, Twilight.
Zagora moved the body?
Objection! Prosecutor Luna, I'm afraid there's a flaw in your argument.
Flaw?
Yes, and it all stems from your testimony, Scootaloo.
What?
You claim that Royal Order was breathing after he was stabbed, but I'm afraid that's not possible. According to the autopsy report, the victim died instantly after being stabbed in the head. Yet you claim he was still breathing after he was stabbed? That's a clear impossibility.
She must have been here breathing from something else.
But I did hear him breathing. I swear, I heard it. The noise was coming from his body. It couldn't have been from any pony else.
Hand me that paper bag.
Jack, that's got my poop in it.
You must have been mistaken somehow. Perhaps that pony wasn't the victim.
No, it was him. I know it was. After Miss Sykes helped me to remember everything, I couldn't be more certain.
Maybe the autopsy report is wrong then?
No. I personally oversaw every step of the autopsy. No
Maybe it was the
mistakes were
Timberwolf they
made.
heard. Also, they saw the thing,
Surely
so more
there
than
must
likely
have been.
they heard Timberwolf.
Otherwise, this would mean that the victim the defendant encountered at the crossroads and the victim found at the castle ruins were two completely different bodies.
That's exactly right, Your Honor.
No, surely Twilight isn't thinking.
More precisely, the defense believes that one of the two bodies was a clone.
What?
Clone?
They can clone themselves? What?
Order! Order in the court! Order!
I thought clones
Have you gone
dissipate
completely
when they die.
mad? The victim was cloned?
Twilight, how sure are you about this?
I'm 96.8% confident. If we believe in Scootaloo and trust Luna's word about the autopsy, this is the only other possibility. Admittedly, though, I haven't quite figured out how we can prove it all just yet. So I'm going to be trusting you to follow my reasoning and fill in any points I miss, okay?
So he cloned himself
You know this world best, right?
on the ground.
Then take it away.
On it.
Okay.
Let's go.
Next
There
is
better be a
Scooter.
good explanation for this defense.
Or by the
There
roads?
is, Princess Luna. Trust me.
The bridge
To
thing?
start with, the court should know that in the Everfree Forest, there is a cave containing a magical pond called the Mirror.
Oh, that thing.
And what is this mirror pool?
You can clone yourself.
According to Twilight,
Like Gamespot
if
did.
you approach it and say an incantation, a near-perfect clone of yourself will emerge from the
But
pond.
why would he clone himself?
Exactly. And I believe that Royal Order used that very pool to clone himself on the night of the murder.
Yeah, making copies of yourself always sounds like a great idea, but before you know it, you're locked in a room with 50 Pinkie Pies watching paint dry.
Objection! And what proof could you possibly have for this?
The location of the pool itself is a good starting point. The cave to the pool happens to be located around here, near Froggy Bottom Bog.
Oh, damn. Okay.
And how is this relevant?
Because I have it on good faith that the victim teleported to that bog when looking for his son.
Oh, so he
Yes, I suppose
Yes,
that's
clone help-
somewhat
help him
possible. After all, we learned that the victim had made trips with his son there in the past.
Yes?
And I presume you have something more than speculation to offer us?
I have this.
Poison joke?
The victim suffered an affliction from this flower that night, and if you recall Sakura's testimony, she said it grew in limited locations around this time of year.
Alright.
Yesterday, Twilight said that many strange plants grow at the bog. Sakura, can you confirm if the poison joke is one of those plants?
What Twilight said is most certainly true. Poison joke tends to grow at the bog too.
I
Okay.
still don't see how this proves the victim
But what
teleported to the
it
bog.
does randomly
The poison joke that grew
every
near
individual.
Sakura's house could have easily affected the victim.
I don't think so, Princess Luna. My friends and I were once affected by poison joke, and it took at least half a day for effects to start showing.
But the victim was suffering from effects within the hour before he died.
So let's make sure we fully understand the potency of this plant. Sakura, is there anything that affects the time it takes for poison joke's effects to appear?
Maturity determines when the effects will crest. The most mature variety needs minutes at best. Currently finding that type is a slog, since right now they're only found at the bog.
Thank you, Sakura. Now that we know this, we can confirm one thing for certain.
The victim went to Froggy Bottom Bog first. Because of how rapidly the poison joke affected him, he had to have gotten infected there. After all, Sakura said earlier that her poison joke was planted only recently, so it can't be that
Man, what
mature
about
just
the
yet.
Fang?
Afterwards, he
He
headed
went
to the
through that
mirror
wolf
pool to
thing.
clone himself.
Your theory is still completely absurd. Even if he went to the bog first, the idea that a clone was involved is ludicrous.
But Scootaloo insisted that she heard the victim breathing, even though he should have died immediately after he was stabbed. This can only be explained if the body she came across and the body Diamond Tiara, Silver Spoon, and Sakura found weren't the same.
All we have is Scootaloo's word that the victim was breathing at the time. She could easily either be lying or mistaken.
Then what of the bruising that should have come from the scooter crashing into the victim? The bruise on his abdomen couldn't have been from the scooter, so clearly he should have had bruises elsewhere on his body that came from the scooter.
That's assuming the victim at the crossroads was Royal Order at all. The defendant's word is all we have to go off of.
Then let's ask some pony else. Some pony who came across the very same crossroads after Scootaloo did. Turning Page.
What? Me?
Turning
Alright,
Page.
let's see what he's got.
When you were going back through the crossroads, did you see any pony at all?
Sorry, Miss Sykes. I didn't see anything.
I thought as much. Thanks, Turning.
What are you getting at, Defense?
Now that we know that Turning didn't see any pony at the crossroads, we can conclude two things. Either the victim Scootaloo ran into was moved by someone else, or he moved himself after Scootaloo left the scene.
Additionally, since the victim had been accidentally stabbed, it's possible traces of blood may be left at the crash site. They may point to where the body went. If we can find and analyze those traces, that would prove that the victim, or rather a clone of the victim, was indeed there.
Alright.
And I suppose you have this proof with you right now?
Unfortunately, we don't. We asked some pony to perform the necessary tests, but they may not be done for a while.
In that case, perhaps it is best if I suspend proceedings of this trial until tomorrow. Any objections?
Yes, we're waiting till tomorrow.
Phew. We made it.
Very well. Then this court shall reconvene.
And you get stopped.
Wait a moment. You're...
Huh? That is some pony. Very classy.
Sonata!
Huh?
Who? Oh, they're back.
Well, I'm glad I made it on time.
That coat, those glasses, this is her? The pony who wanted to defend Scootaloo?
I should have known you'd make your grand entrance sooner or later.
Well, Princess Luna, you know how I am
like
when
her.
it
She
comes
looks
to
classy.
timing.
Let's cut to the chase then. You're here for a reason, I assume.
Indeed. We have new evidence to present to the court.
New evidence?
Then please,
goody.
Miss Sonata, show
Let's
us
see.
already. My robe is about to burst from all this tension.
Private Eye actually has them
Surprised
right
you're
now.
not sweating up the storm.
Detective?
Right away, Miss Sonata. First, we have a photo of the crossroads, illuminated by a forensic spell. As you can see, we found traces of blood, leading to the Nightmare Knight statue.
This can't be!
Alright.
Whose blood is it? Whose?
After testing, our forensic team has concluded that it belonged to none other than the victim, Royal Order.
What?
Alright, so Scootaloo did technically kill him.
Order!
Or was that after
Order!
Chris? I'm a little confused.
Incredible! It's as though the defense's prayers have been answered!
And now that they have, we'll finally be able to prove what really happened that night.
Alright.
What does this all mean?
It should be clear by now, Your Honor. The victim whom Scootaloo encountered at the crossroads was indeed Royal Order.
However, contrary to the autopsy report we have, this Royal Order appears to not have died immediately after being stabbed.
He was still alive and left the scene with an open wound.
Which proves conclusively that there were in fact 2 Royal Orders in the forest that night. A real one and a clone.
This is insane!
Objection!
This is equestrian.
Very impressive teamwork, defense. But, even if you've miraculously proven the existence of this clone, don't think for a second that it's enough to exonerate your clients. The blood leading away from the scene could easily be the result of some pony carrying the body with magic. Where's your evidence that the victim was actually still alive after the incident at the crossroads?
Okay, you asked for it. Take that!
What is this, Miss Sykes?
This is the Nightmare Knight statue, Your Honor. As you can see, there's a large amount of blood in front of it. Clearly something big and rather gruesome happened here.
I'm gonna stab you for your blood.
Oh, come on!
I can't remember why I needed the blood.
And seeing as how the victim's blood trail leads down that path, I'd bet you anything that he has some connection to it.
Objection! Defense, what are you trying to pull? You know very well that bloodstain doesn't belong to the victim.
Wait, you know about this larger bloodstain?
You seem surprised. I heard that Private Eye informed you of a similar bloodstain we also located there.
Right, the smaller pool of it, found behind the statue.
We aren't fools. We discovered the bloodstain in front of the statue in the late afternoon, during a precautionary re-examination of the area, per my request. Not that it matters either way. The blood left there was not the victim's. A clear sample obtained from that small pool at the back confirmed it.
Whose?
Right, but
now that we know the bleeding body of Royal Order showed up on the scene, that changes how we should view this evidence.
Exactly. If Royal Order was bleeding, then it would be impossible for his blood to not be found anywhere around the clearing.
In which case, there's only one possible conclusion.
What?
The blood stain in front of the statue
contains more than one pony's blood.
Okay.
What foolishness is this? The blood pool behind the statue connects to the stain in front of it. They have to be from the same pony.
Getting ahead of yourself as always, aren't you, Your Highness?
Excuse me?
I'm a little confused.
Whoa, talk about a change in power dynamic. Just who is the Sonata talking to Luna like that? Color
Oh,
me
that's nothing you
impressed.
haven't met, Starlight Lip.
Private and I came to a similar conclusion ourselves after following the blood trail from the crossroads. So, in addition to Princess Twilight's request, we went ahead and tested the big blood stain found on the front of the statue.
Alright, the who's?
And I can confirm that it contains blood belonging to two different ponies.
Yeah,
You
that's what Luna
can't
said.
be serious.
Oh.
The small puddle belongs to one pony. Some pony other than the victim.
The larger stain, however, consisted of blood from both that same pony and the victim.
What?
Defense? Care to explain all of this?
It's actually rather simple, Your Honor.
So she was right about the clone?
I think there must have been a fight between the two ponies.
Oh.
During that fight, Royal Order was likely killed and the other pony was injured. Both of their blood stained the scene, and the survivor ducked behind the statue. That explains how the smaller blood stain got there.
Okay.
The only way Royal could have gotten into that fight was if he was alive to get there. That means that he couldn't have died when Scootaloo ran into him.
And as for the other pony who left blood at the scene, it wasn't Scootaloo or Turning Page. Otherwise, the tests would have come back with their names on it. Am I right?
Indeed.
Which of course means that neither could be responsible for his death.
Yeah, who's Scootaloo run into?
So then, what did kill the victim, if not the scooter?
I got it.
The Timberwolf?
Let's look back to the statue. I want to draw the court's attention to a certain corner. See how it appears to be the source of the blood flow?
Oh, the
I
point.
do see it,
Oh,
yes.
You got punctured.
What does that tell us, Miss Sykes?
It suggests that the victim was pushed onto that spike during the fight.
Maybe
It
I should
pierced
see
his
that
body,
spike
and
then.
that's what killed him.
If that's the case, then where could the body have disappeared to afterwards?
They did say
if it
they
isn't
heard
the
some
same one
Timberwolves.
that was found at the crime scene. If it was hidden, and the blood was cleaned up, all in order to conceal evidence of the crime itself,
Or
why didn't the
Timberwolves
killer
found.
clean up their own blood?
The disappearance of the body can be explained by this.
A tooth?
Timberwolf.
Not
Yep,
just
there we
any
go.
tooth, a Timberwolf's fang. Remember that both Sakura and Scootaloo both mentioned hearing Timberwolves active in the forest that night. Possible that the body vanished because of them.
How so?
Because they
After
eat
the killer
them.
murdered Royal Order, they ducked behind the statue. My guess is that the Timberwolves were drawn to the scene by the noise, or the scent of blood.
Yeah.
The killer had to hide from them, so they hid behind the statue, while the wolves took the body to... eat and likely lapped up the blood in front of the statue as well.
Yeah.
This explains why the small blood stain remained. The Timberwolves likely spooked the culprit into staying put until the Timberwolves left.
And how do you explain the body left behind at the crime scene?
Yeah.
That's an easy one. Take that! Private Eye gave us this photo before the trial resumed. As you can see, it's a clearing found in the middle of the Everfree Forest. Clearly visible here is yet another bloodstain revealed by forensic lighting. Private Eye confirmed that it belonged to Royal Order. That must mean this Royal Order was killed here, and then transported to the crime scene.
Along with Scootaloo's scooter and wagon? Care to tell me
Yeah,
how
I'll
that
look.
was accomplished?
Yes.
She has a point. Moving all those things had to be done by the same pony. But How could they have done it without being seen by anyone? Luna initially suggested teleportation. Could that be it? Or is there something else I'm missing?
Probably.
I don't know! I thought I had something going there for a minute, but I wasn't thinking that far ahead. Twilight, do you have any ideas? Literally anything, I mean. I don't care how minor you think it is.
Well, I do have something. But it's not that it's too minor, it's that I don't really see how it's relevant at all.
Anything will do, just tell me what it is you've noticed.
Okay. It's just something that's been bugging me about the wagon. Do you remember that mark we found on it?
I do, yeah, but...
It's played no part in this incident whatsoever as of yet. So that's why I don't know how it's relevant.
Might as well
Could it be that we just never found an opportunity to show how important it was? Or is it just not significant at all?
I have no idea, but there you go. Hopefully it'll help.
Miss Sykes! Miss Sparkle! Are you two finished? Prosecutor Luna has asked you a very pertinent question.
What's pertinent?
One I hope will be answered sometime today.
Honestly, I'm about as unsure as Twilight on this. Everything else is lined up rather well, but we need an answer right now. And I don't have a better one. If Twilight doesn't trust that she's on the right track, then I'll have to be the one to do it for her. Your Honor, the defense...
You have very little room to maneuver, Miss Sykes. Do not simply say the first thing that comes to mind, or blindly run with some vague premise.
She doesn't have a choice.
You may, by all means, start with something such as that. But think things through, logically. Take it one step at a time, and build your premise into a well-formed argument. Do you understand?
Yes!
You're talking smart.
Very good. Continue.
The show, we don't
At
really
this
get to see
point,
much, so...
I cannot fully answer the question of how the body, scooter, and wagon were moved.
You can't?
No, not without a thorough examination of a piece of evidence.
And what would that piece of evidence be, Miss Sykes?
This, Your Honor. Take that!
That's the wagon, correct?
Exactly. But look closer at the bed, and you'll see what I'm referring to.
Some kind of decal at the bottom? Made of mud?
From what we can tell, it appears to be a hoof mark, albeit a rather small one, though this has not been confirmed in any way.
And this has some relevance, Miss Sykes?
Trying to figure out what that is.
It does, Your Honor. The defense believes that whoever made this mark is also the one who transported the victim's body.
And you can prove when this mark was made, I presume? If it was before the incident, this is a meaningless observation.
Well, that's the thing, you see. One of the CMC, Applebloom, has already confirmed that the mark wasn't there on the afternoon of the murder.
I see. That would indeed match with what Private Eye told me yesterday evening. It seems he was present when this was said by Applebloom.
We're back to this, are we? Can't I surprise her with anything?
So we know this mark was made on the night of the murder, but the question that I feel should be answered most is who made this mark?
Indeed. Can you provide an answer, defense?
I don't want to make another accusation. Not after last time.
The only one who would know.
Heck, I can't make one even if I wanted to. I have no idea who it belongs to.
Wait a second. Could it... No, that's ridiculous.
Twilight?
I've realized what's been bugging me about the mark on the wagon. I've seen it before.
What? Where?
Yeah.
Do you remember when we got back from the Carousel Boutique yesterday? Who we met?
You...
I don't remember that.
You don't mean...
Sugar stamp! At your service, ma'am! I have something for you! Princess Twilight,
I forgot
you'll
about
be happy to know that as soon as she got your letter, she immediately set aside all of her other duties to make sure this got to you as soon as possible.
Oh, yeah. So she moved by?
That mail pony, Sugar Stamp. She had a badge with a similar shape as the mark on the wagon.
Oh, man.
You know what this means, right?
Yeah. That mail pony was in the forest that night.
More than that, actually. But I think you already know what I'm getting at. You good to handle everything from this point on?
I think so, yes. Thank you, Twilight. For everything.
It's not over yet.
So many questions.
You can thank me after we're done here.
Time is up, Defense. You've had enough time to discuss. Have you concluded who may have left the mark on the wagon?
The defense has identified a possible suspect, Your Honor.
And who might they be?
The defense formally accuses a male pony by the name of Sugar Stamp.
A male pony, you say?
The mark on the wagon is
Or Pegasus
extremely
pony.
similar to a badge she wears, Your
We're
Honor.
the only ones who are actually
Not only
male
that,
ponies.
but she's a Pegasus. Knowing that, we can solve the last remaining mystery: how the body and Scooter were transported. They weren't teleported as the prosecution claims. They were flown by a Pegasus. Objection!
As fascinated by your theory as I am, I find myself stunned by how you fail to realize the obvious. Sugar Stamp is not the only Pegasus, nor male pony in existence. The mark looking similar to a badge she wears is a tenuous link at best. What has led you to the conclusion that this pony in particular is the one who may be responsible for the crime?
He's the only one.
I have proof that can show us exactly that. Take that!
A letter?
We found this letter in Zeccora's hut yesterday. Notice how dirty it is?
Yes, it is rather filthy looking. But why is that relevant?
Yeah, she's a very dirty
There are
pony.
two important points surrounding this letter, Your Honor. First, the fact that we found this letter in the first place tells us that Zeccora hadn't yet retrieved it. According to a friend of hers, Zeccora would have collected her mail from earlier that day as soon as it was delivered. This tells us that on the day of the murder, this letter wasn't in the mailbox.
Alright.
If it was, Zeccora would have collected it when she returned to her hut that night.
Then when, pray tell, was it delivered?
That leads me to my second point, Prosecutor Luna. When we found this letter yesterday, we also found the mail that had been delivered that morning. That mail was in far better condition than this letter. So this letter must have been delivered before yesterday's mail and gotten dirtied as a result. Knowing that, and knowing that it hadn't been in the mailbox when Zeccora returned to her hut, we can conclude that this letter arrived on the night of the murder itself.
Okay, I guess this isn't going to be the end of the episode. It's going to be another one after this.
This is all very fascinating, Defense, but you have yet to prove that Sugar Stamp is the one who delivered it. At best, you have placed a male pony in the forest.
I am inclined to agree, Miss Sykes. Please explain to the court why it must be her.
I shouldn't have to, Your Honor. If you look closely at this letter, you'll see that it bears the royal seal, meaning that Princess Celestia and Luna had originally written and sent it.
Okay.
While I don't know its contents, I can infer that it's very important and had to be entrusted to specific ponies for delivery. Ponies whose identity either Celestia or Luna should be able to confirm. Prosecutor Luna, can you confirm whether or not Sugar Stamp was the one tasked with delivering this letter?
Yes, it was Miss Stamp.
Alright.
Thank you, Prosecutor
Real
Luna.
question is why she moved by.
Your Honor, I believe this pretty much confirms everything that the defense has claimed. We know that Sugar Stamp was in the forest that night, delivering this exact letter. This would have given her the opportunity to kill Royal Order after making her delivery. Finally,
But why?
the mud imprint ties her to the movement of the scooter and wagon, which would also tie her to the movement of the body. As for the exact nature of her guilt, I can't say for certain. I can say, however, that what we've established should prove beyond reasonable doubt that neither Scootaloo nor Turning Page could have committed the crime.
And why is that, Miss Sykes?
Because now we've demonstrated how the body and items could have been moved, and we've also discovered an alternative explanation for what happened that night. Any and all evidence linking the defendants to the crime has been refuted.
Okay.
And, unless the prosecution is prepared to argue against our theories, the defense argues we cannot accept their original stance. That the defendants killed the two royal orders.
Sure, they can
Prosecutor Luna, do you have any objections to what the defense has said?
I do not. Miss Sykes and Miss Sparkle have managed to make their argument as conclusively as they could.
Does this mean...
However, I do have some questions for her, though I am unsure if she can actually answer them.
Okay.
Questions?
Let us assume you are correct, that Sugar Stamp is the true culprit in one of these deaths. Why would she murder Royal Order?
Yeah.
Furthermore, why would she decide to pin it on Scootaloo? Since none of the witnesses mentioned seeing her, why would she go to great lengths to conceal her presence
gonna have to ask
when
her.
she would not have been discovered?
I don't know. But in any case, my point still stands. Scootaloo and Turning are innocent of any crime.
Then I believe we have come to a satisfying conclusion for this trial.
All right.
While there are some unanswered questions regarding the case as a whole, I feel that the defense has sufficiently established that the defendants of this trial were not the ones who killed Royal Order. Does the prosecution have any final comments?
I do not, Your Honor. The prosecution rests.
Yay, they're innocent.
As for Sugar Stamp, I would like for this pony to be taken in for further questioning. After the defense's claim, it's important that we verify her movements that night. I would also like the pony who killed the victim near the statue to be swiftly identified and taken in for questioning as well. Prosecutor Luna, I trust that you will perform these two tasks?
Of course, Your Honor.
Why she has nothing else to do?
I did it!
Now then, would the defendants please take the stand? There is a good lesson to be learned here for you both, I think. You both put each other in danger by deciding to go along with the blackmailing instead of asking for help. I hope such dire circumstances never happen to you again. But should they, I trust you'll know what to do. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well. In the case of Scootaloo and Turning Page, I find the defendants...
There we go. Not guilty. Yay. Yeah, let's figure out the other trial.
Court is now adjourned.
But the Pegasus. Oh, so those. Okay. Wait, this is. If this is February, why the heck is Evergreen Forest not a fucking snowy area?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Is it really over?
I think
Yep,
it is,
punch in
Athena.
his garbage can and throw up.
It feels like this took more than a day.
From all the stress.
It doesn't seem real just yet.
Well, I'm told that victory tends to bask you in something of a strange, surreal glow. Congratulations, Athena. You won.
Hey, come on, Twilight. Don't sell yourself short. If
Eh.
anything, you're the one
Oh,
who
she
won
is
today.
kind of short.
Huh? What do you mean?
You led the charge at least twice today, and if you hadn't brought up that mark on the wagon, the trial might have ended there. Really, if anyone earned a victory today, it's you.
Like I said, she should.
But that wasn't enough. I
I
didn't even think that the mark was relevant. And besides, it's you trusting my hunch that eventually led us to figuring out why it mattered.
I guess. But even so, I don't feel like this was my victory.
Trust me, Athena.
Athena!
Boss! And Rainbow Dash!
Congratulations,
Your dust is a lot
you
bigger
two.
than you.
You stood your ground the entire way.
Dude, that pink thing
Oh,
does
Zay,
not look good
I
on you.
can't believe you managed to hold your own against Princess Luna and clear both Turning Page and Scootaloo.
Yeah, I can't believe it either.
Where are they anyway?
But who could have guessed clones would be involved somehow?
It makes sense. But while that solves one mystery, it leaves plenty up in the air.
Yeah. Like, how do you even know about the pool? It was covered up by a rock, wasn't it?
Yeah, at least the last time I checked on it, it was. I wonder, just what was he trying
What
to
year
do?
is this anyway?
I guess
Is
there's
this
no way to
before you-
really find that
you got-
out.
I mean,
is
I
there?
think this is where you had your castle, so
No,
after the fight with
I
T-Rex,
guess there
so...
isn't.
I can't begin to imagine what Turning must be feeling right now. To learn that there were two versions of his father that night and they both died? A scary thought, but how do we know which royal order was the original?
I'm not sure we even can know. And it's not like knowing who was who would change anything.
Yeah, I guess. Still, it leaves an ugly feeling in my gut.
Speaking of turning, actually, here he comes now. With Scootaloo.
Poor kid.
Yeah, he's probably hurting.
Twilight! You did it! You really saved us!
Of course, it was a total cakewalk.
Not really.
You sit on a throne of lies!
Oh, come on, Widget. Can't you let me have this
Chuck it
moment?
against the wall.
You were awesome out there, Athena! I mean, at first you were all nervous and doing a bunch of dumb stuff, but then you really started kicking Flink. I mean, when Demontier and Silverstone got up on the stand...
He's got a lot on his mind, I'll bet.
Yeah,
Hey, turning?
What's wrong, Miss Sykes?
Actually, I think I should be the one to ask you that.
Oh, it's nothing, really. I'm just happy for Scootaloo.
Are you sure?
Yeah, kid. Shouldn't you be, happy for yourself, too?
Yeah, but he lost
You're
his
innocent.
dad. His idol.
What? It's true, isn't it? Oh, I mean...
Turning Page? It's okay. I'm sure that whatever's on your mind, it'll help to get it out. Keeping your emotions pent up inside of you isn't a good thing. Even if you don't find a solution right away, it helps to have some pony to talk to. That's something that I learned today,
adult
thanks
friends,
to
but most
Athena.
adult friends don't really get it.
Scootaloo.
I mean, unless they're really good friends.
I guess I'm just really worried about Miss Sugarstamp. What's going to happen to her?
Once she's been found, she'll be taken in for questioning, I suppose. What happens after that will depend on what they find out.
Alright.
You don't think she did it, do you?
I couldn't say.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell.
I'm sorry, Turning Page.
Athena, do you think Miss Sugarstamp did it?
All the evidence we have points to her at least being involved in one of the deaths. Like Twilight said, though, there's not enough to go on to say how involved she is, though.
This might be for another trial.
I hope it isn't the case, though.
Obviously.
And that there's another reason
But would
for
be
why
another
things
YouTube
happened the way
or-
they did. She was such a nice mare to me.
Scoots! Are you alright? None of the bailiffs are treating you badly or anything?
Nah, I'm all good now.
It's great,
Yeah, how could the
Scoots.
bailiffs be mean? I mean, they're
I knew you
adorable
were
little
innocent.
ponies.
I always knew it. Yeah, me too.
What's up with Sweeney Belle again? She should be relieved.
Yeah, well, if it wasn't thanks to Athena and Twilight, I
Wonder
doubt
what's on
Turning and
her
I would have been found not guilty.
Oh, gee, Scootaloo.
Yo!
Yeah?
Uh-oh. Bloom's about to go boom! What in tarnation were you thinking? Accusing Sakura? She'd never hurt any pony! She's one of the nicest, sweetest,
Yeah, she kind of respects the crap out of her. Even though she doesn't really hang out with her that much, but still.
Every pony treated her like she was some dangerous monster! It took an awful lot to get every pony to change their minds about her! And now, you almost messed that up! How could you, Athena? I mean, I know you said you'd do your best to help Scoots and Turnin', but how could you do that?
Well,
Apple Bloom, it's more
the other guy
complicated than you
screwed up too,
think.
so.
Then explain it! Explain it so I can understand why an equestrian
Because she was
would do such a
desperate.
thing! Did you just not like her? Did you think she was some kind of freak? Or did you really think we'd have a friend?
Well, I'm pretty sure she thinks she's a striped donkey, which technically what zebras
I
are.
won't run from this.
Big
Okay,
difference
Apple
between
Bloom, I'll
people
tell
think
you why
soft-
I did it. The truth is, I was scared. It
People
seemed
think,
like the odds were
zebras
stacked
are
against me from
horses,
the very
but technically
beginning.
they're
I knew there was a good
donkeys.
chance that I'd lose and that Turning and Scootaloo would be declared
You
guilty.
can tell by their tail.
And because I was scared, I became desperate. Desperate enough to do something completely crazy, knowing that I had no proof.
Why are you so bitchy?
It was the only way out that I thought I had. And even now, I think it might have been the only one I could have chosen. But maybe even that is assuming too much. Maybe there was another way. I guess I'll never know.
Okay.
What I did, even though it was with the best of intentions, is inexcusable. It was wrong. And I am sorry I did it, Apple Bloom. I'm so sorry.
Do you mean that?
I mean,
Yes.
she did technically
Absolutely.
apologize to Sakura, so...
I know my words might seem hollow, but it's the truth. I'm sorry for what I did.
But then kids' minds are a little...
My sister's
Not
the
there.
element of honesty, you know.
Oh? The element of honesty?
Oh, she's never been taught about that.
Yeah. So, she's real big on ponies telling the truth. She don't like no liars, you see.
Oh,
honest
and she
April
was a liar as a
always
kid.
tastes sweeter than a lying one. But
I've seen
part
that
of being
episode.
honest and telling the truth is also apologizing.
I've only seen
Jenny.
all the episodes once.
When you make a mistake, no matter how big or small that mistake may be.
I've only seen a little bit
Apple
of
Bloom?
Generation 5,
Way I
like, only
see it,
through YouTube.
Athena, you definitely messed up big time. And that's hard to forgive. But you admitted that you did wrong. And you
Thing is,
apologized.
I actually spoke to Apple Bloom's
Sakura?
voice actress once.
And
Who was at
now
a brony party. He was actually
I
kind of
think
cool.
that counts for something. I think it shows that you've got, what's it called? Integrity. Yeah. Honesty and
He was
integrity.
funny because I honestly thought all people,
Thanks for
all voice actors
apologizing.
and actresses all lived
I
like
forgive you,
super rich
Athena.
lives.
Oh, Apple Bloom?
But she just lives an average life.
Well said, young Apple Bloom. When did you get so wise?
Hey, Luke.
I must say, you put on quite the show for us, Golden Pixie. Or perhaps now would be more appropriate to say, Miss Sykes.
Princess Luna! What are you doing here?
Well, she
Do
has
not be
nowhere else
afraid,
to
child.
go.
I can
That's
assure
probably the
you,
only way out.
I am not here to challenge her to a duel over wounded pride. I am here to congratulate Miss Sykes on her hard-fought victory.
Yeah, that's kind of your
You
sister's
performed
thing about
remarkably
pride.
well for a self-proclaimed novice, might I add. Of course, I must extend my praise to Twilight as well. An admirable job, co-counsel.
Thank you, Princess Luna.
Yes, thank you. Wow, is this really the same Luna from before? She was like some kind of dark mayor of the courtroom back there, but now she seems more like a regular regal ruler. Well, as regular as a
She just
regal
doesn't
ruler could
do the
be, I
thing
guess.
eyes and thous yet.
You're very welcome. You show great promise, young Athena. Perhaps one day you will be as good as your mentor.
I remember, like,
Phoenix.
episode 1,
And
Luna's
speaking
name
of,
was a little brighter,
finally
and
meet
did wave a
Phoenix,
lot.
right?
That was supposed to be her original design,
So
but
we
they
do,
decided
Princess Luna.
to make her look
It's
like
a
that.
pleasure to meet you.
The pleasure is all mine. My sister spoke
For
greatly
reasons I'm
about
not
your
sure.
exploits during your last visit to Equestria.
Just
Though,
like Celestia
I
was
must
supposed to be
admit,
pink.
I did not picture you as the mentor type.
Really? I guess I never pictured myself as being one either. It just kinda happened, bit by bit. I wouldn't change it for the world, though. Because hey, you know what they say. Sometimes you don't always get to choose who you're going to be. Sometimes you become who you need to be. For others. And for yourself. You might
That
get
is
dealt a
something
bad
I need to
hand,
think
but what
about.
you do with those cards is up to you.
Wise words, Mr. Wright.
I've
And
never
of
lived
course,
a
that doesn't
working
make
life
who you
or a
are or who you want to
famous
be
life.
any less important.
just
Ponies change, do they not?
trying to make other
They
people
have
happy
to
while
in order
trying
to
to
keep
endure
on
life.
living. But whether they change of their own accord or are made to by outside forces does not matter. So long as they are true to themselves and do what is right according to their beliefs, then they'll stay the course. Wouldn't you agree, Miss Sykes?
I guess so. I don't really understand what Luna means, though.
I know
But
I'll never
enough
be as good as
pleasantries.
the other YouTubers because
There
they
is
put
also
their heart and
another
souls in
reason
these
why I
videos.
am here.
What would that be?
If it's about Sonata, she's not here. And we don't know where she is. Sorry.
That is to be expected. After all, I'm told she has returned to her investigation. As for Mr. Private, He has set off for Canterlot to give a report on the case.
Alright.
Sonata's investigating again?
The phrase burning the candle at both ends comes to mind.
Eh?
This Sonata is no slouch, I can say that much.
What I'm here
job
for
is her life.
relates to the blood test that Detective Private Eye and Sonata performed.
Huh? What about it? Was it wrong?
No. It is true that the large blood stain contained blood that belonged to Royal Order, and, as you surmised, his killer. But that killer's identity...
I don't like where this is going.
Who is it?
Sweetie Belle.
What? Maybe her clone?
Oh no, you
Oh,
don't. You're not
she's
going
out.
anywhere.
Sweetie Belle!
Come on, kid. You're coming with us.
No! Please! No, let me go!
Have fun at the dance, Meg. I hope she does. That kid really deserves it.
Well, this turned for the worse.
It was true that I'd managed to save the 2 ponies who were relying on me. But then, almost as quickly
Now
as
we
that trial
gotta
ended,
prove that she's
the beginnings of another reared its
Well, if it's
ugly
her
head.
blood, how?
2 ponies were
It's supposed to be a
saved,
big amount of
but
blood.
2
How does a
more
little
were
bugger like
suspected,
her
left
how
with
produce
so
that
many
much?
unanswered
I know
questions.
pigs have crap to the blood.
But
but-
Sweetie Belle, the
Oh,
blood at the
ponies.
statue, sugar stamp, the mark in the wagon. It was clear this case was far from over.
Is it over? Yep. Oh, that was my reaction to it. That was injustice. At least we finally got to figure out if Screw was innocent and whatnot. Now, Sweetie Belle screwed. So is this random Pegasus. So now we get to figure out their trials. These will probably be several hours too, so I'll probably have to split these things up. But well, at least those trials over and kind of interesting. So they said they were about the Timberwolf. Oh yeah, the wolf devoured that one dude. So I'm not sure if they devoured the clone or the other. So I guess we're gonna find out in the next one. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope you all have a good Halloween.